Hey everybody, welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another Choosing Beggar Reddit video. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe and click on notifications so you don't miss out on the fun. In our first story, we have a 5th grade class full of choosing beggars who want their goodie bags. Let's jump right in. This story comes from a long time ago, back when I was still in grade school. I read a story that reminded me of this, so I thought I would share it. So, for starters, when I was in grade school, grades were split into classes of around 20 to 25 students. From 1st to 4th grade, my gran would help me make up goodie bags for everyone in my class. My class, not my entire grade, important for later, for different holidays like Halloween, Christmas, and Valentine's Day. These bags usually had a small stuffed animal, candy, and favors like pencils, erasers, or small toys, and each would be labeled with the names of my classmates. Gran and I sat for hours making them every time. Everyone always liked the goodie bags. However, a lot of my classmates always seemed to expect the bags and want the bags, but were never very thankful for them. For instance, during Valentine's Day, everyone in my class knew they would get a goodie bag from me as a Valentine. But in return, I only ever got Valentines from my closest friends and the teacher. Most kids didn't even say thank you when they would be given their bags. But oh well, it was just nice to give gifts to my classmates, so I didn't complain and we kept doing it. Then 5th grade came. This was the first year that our grade was given rotating classes. So before 5th grade, all our lessons were taught by our one teacher, but not anymore. Because I was now going to multiple classes, interacting with nearly my entire grade in a day, my gran and I decided that we would no longer do the goodie bags for holidays. Because it wouldn't be fair to choose just one class period to give them to, but we also couldn't afford to make them for my entire 100+ person grade. Fair enough, right? Wrong. It was nearing Halloween that year, the first holiday that would normally come with goodie bags. Some girls stopped me in the hallway one day and asked me when I was bringing in the goodie bags, because Halloween was on a weekend that year. We normally would bring them the Friday before or the Monday after in this case. And I told them that I wasn't going to be doing them that year. They pouted and asked why, so I told them it wouldn't be fair or cost-effective anymore. Cue more pouting. Then one of them says something to the effect of, "Well, we have this class here with you, so how about you just bring them to that class since we're friends?" I again told them that it wouldn't be fair to pick a random class to make them for and ignore everyone else, and they kept insisting that it would be fine. Just want to pause for a moment to tell you that these girls were not my friends. As a matter of fact, they virtually forgot I existed until it was time for goodie bags. I only had about 10 real friends at any given time during school, and none of them would have tried to shake me down for free candy. Anyway, I told them I wasn't making goodie bags anymore, and that was final. They stomped off, pouting again. Word got around, and I had so many people that day asking if I was really going to stop making goodie bags. No, I understand why. No thanks for doing them all these years anyway. Just a lot of people saying things like, "I'm gonna miss getting candy and toys," or "Are you really sure you can't bring them this year?" One person even suggested I just make them smaller, like only fill them with candy, so I could afford to make them for the whole grade. The only people who didn't give me a hard time were my close friends, who totally understood why I couldn't do them anymore. I went home that day regretting that I had ever made goodie bags in the first place. Luckily, people pretty much forgot about them by the time Christmas came around, though for a year or two after that I still had a person here or there drop a hint like, "Hey Bunny, remember when you used to bring goodie bags for everyone? That was always fun." Now, I don't have a climactic ending to the story where everyone in my class gets taught a lesson and justice is served. If you want a little petty revenge, I did continue to make up really small goodies, candy bar here, stuffed animal there, for my very close friends. mostly just for Christmas and things, which earned a few jealous looks. Story number 2 shows us a Choosing Beggar music teacher whose top skill seems to be taking advantage of her students. In December, I moved to a new city to study music under a couple of teachers. One of them came up to me and asked if I'd be willing to play instead of her at this preschool for a play they were having. She had accidentally booked a trip with her boyfriend during the final days, so she could not make it. She also told me that I'd be paid $14 per day and that this was a great opportunity for me to learn, so I should take it. I happily agreed and started tagging along with her to the rehearsals. Cut to yesterday, the final day of the performance. She was able to make it, but I was going to play as I had become more comfortable with the material. But just as the show was gonna start, she pulls me aside and says she wants to have a conversation about the money I'll be receiving. She told me that $14 per day was too much for someone of my skill level. I agreed with this. I was still a beginner and was making enough mistakes when I was starting out. I never expected to be paid her rate since we had already spoken about this, and I had settled on a rate of $11 for each day I played alone. Apparently, this was also too much. She told me that for all the work I'd put in, I'd be paid $32 in total. The issue with that is that the school is some 15 kilometers away from where we both live, so my transportation costs themselves added up to $35 in total. It was only this cheap since I was renting a scooter on a per-day basis. So at this point, I was paying her for the opportunity to cover playing her gig that she couldn't make because she was on holiday with her boyfriend. She made it look like a work trip, but on Instagram, they were posting pics of having a pretty good time, and she really didn't need to tag along with him. All of this came after about 3 weeks of telling me how I needed to dress a certain way, finish the work I was given on time, no excuses, and needed to think about how I kept myself in regards to my appearance. I was letting my beard grow out, so I was looking a bit messy. I was completely taken aback and was trying to explain to her that I was taking the least amount I could possibly take and that I spent half my monthly allowance just on transport to this show, and that I was down to only $1 and change in my account. Her response was, "Listen, I myself only have $42 in my account. As a musician, you'll be having some financial difficulties from time to time." She's an earning adult who just got back from a holiday, and I'm a 19-year-old who has a fixed allowance. In what world is that a fair comparison? I was doing this as a favor and as a learning opportunity to see that the standard of my work reached the level she demanded of a professional, and I delivered that, so I assumed that I'd be getting compensated in the same way. What's worse is that the preschool is more than willing to pay my rate. I was going to take $44 for 3 weeks worth of work, but she is going out of her way to make sure I am not paid that, as according to her, I am not a musician and don't deserve that much, and if I was to be paid that much, it would devalue her work. I've left the best for last. She decided to have this conversation where she says I am not a musician and I don't deserve the money, etc., right before I was about to play. So obviously, I am flipping freaked out and can't think about anything. I told her to play because I can see I was gonna have an episode. My hands are shaking and I don't want to mess up the performance. She reluctantly plays, and I decided not to go back to the preschool on the other days as it is just not worth it. I've already learned everything I had to, so I'm good. In today's final story, we have a family full of shameless choosing beggars. My aunt is from a small town and she eventually made it big. Now my relatives think that her money is their money. There's this one particular relative I want to talk about. He flat out asked my aunt to buy him an apartment. He just blatantly asked for a house, not asking for a loan, literally asked her to give him the apartment. My aunt, being the generous person that she is, agreed to this. especially since this was also the relative of her mother, who constantly tells my aunt to give more unnecessary things to this family. This is not all. When this relative's son got married, he asked for even more things. He asked for 2 cars, specifically Mercedes-Benz, and another apartment. Again, not borrowing money, literally asking for a home and 2 cars in addition to his own home. My aunt did this, believing that they would leave her alone, and they did, for a bit. I have a strong intuition that the son will end up just like the father because of his actions. Over Christmas break, my aunt was on a trip to France with her family. The son of the relative, like his father, asked her for a gift, specifically a watch, and specifically from an expensive brand. My aunt's son had a gently worn watch that was from a pretty famous brand. He offered his watch to this relative and decided that he would get a new one in France. However, when my aunt told her cousin, he refused the watch. He stated that he wanted an even more expensive brand, namely Omega. He even listed a price range. Just going to point out again that this is a gift that he is asking for. He wasn't asking my aunt to bring him back a watch from France for him because he wanted a type that was only sold there. He just wanted her to gift him an expensive watch within a specific price range. And no, it's not over. He then asked my aunt to help him get a government job since he knew that she had connections. He asked my aunt to pull some strings so he could have a government position. Quite naive, right? I am pretty sure it is simply because he wants to boss people around. Thank God she said no. Every time my aunt refuses to pamper them with unnecessary things, they tell her that she is forgetting where she came from, that she is obligated to help them. The truth is, they don't need help given their financial stability. They just want to have luxury products even though they aren't part of the upper class. I just want nothing to do with these relatives anymore. This is John from /bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the videos and want to see more of them, then hit that subscribe button. We'd love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.